feel how it's coming on. The end with the break of dawn. But your breath is the perfect song, alright. I don't wanna waste this high. Soon I'll be stuck at home with your number stuck in my phone. Wanna see if like me you were all alone, but it's all just a waste of time. Are your thoughts on me like my thoughts are on you? I wanna be the one that you choose.
Hello and welcome to Destination Timeshare. I'm Jeremy. Actually the first Sunday of March, so that means it's time for my monthly live stream. And today we're going to be talking about the timeshare exit presentation that we went to, because we actually got this postcard in the mail, and it invited us to a special dinner event, a timeshare exit presentation. And if you saw yesterday's video, I talked a little bit about this postcard and how these companies market to timeshare owners in order to try and get you to come in. Very much like timeshare companies, they give you a free gift, in this case, dinner, and to get you to come in, where at least timeshare companies give you a little bit more, sometimes $100, $200, $300, depending on how desperate they are. But we got a free dinner at Red Lobster, and we're just going to talk a little bit about that presentation, how it was, what our experiences were. We obviously did not plan on getting rid of our timeshare, so that wasn't in the plan. So before we jump into this, I'm just going to say a quick hello to everybody who is in the chat, who has joined us so far. So we have John Lanier. Hello, Jeremy. Hello, John. Frederick Crawford. Good afternoon, all the way from Bronx, New York. Hello from Jacksonville, Florida. And we have Melissa Taser Travel, my wife. She is in here moderating today. So if you haven't already said hello, do so in the chat, wherever that might be. So let us know you're here, say hello, and we're going to jump into what this timeshare exit presentation was like. So we essentially called and signed up for it. There were essentially 6 slots. We went to the very last one at a dinner one at 6 p.m. And when we got there, they said, hey, this is going to be really busy because it's the last one. So we will be sure to get to you, but be patient. So they did come over, give us a piece of paper to write down some basic information about ourselves, and also just kind of chit-chat a little bit. Not too much, not really any real sit down or giving us any information. They did tell us they would be starting kind of a little more formal presentation, where the one guy would get up and talk during the presentation, give a presentation about obviously how bad timeshares are and why we need to get rid of ours. They did have us order off of a pretty limited menu for what is ultimately Red Lobster, and just had like 4 things on it. 2 of them had shrimp, 1 was fish, the other one was like a Cajun chicken. And we aren't real big seafood eaters, but I did get fried shrimp. Melissa asked if she could get a steak, which is actually cheaper than most of those menu items. And after some kind of him-hawing and finding out if they could, if they couldn't, the person made an executive decision and went ahead, just got, I guess it's like the sirloin steak, and ordered it for her. So essentially, when we were there, they started the presentation. There's only 6 couples there, including us, and actually what seemed like quite a few employees. We had kind of the guy that was going to be talking to us, his name was Angel. There was another guy there, his name was Tom, and a number of other employees. When we actually walked in the restaurant, we were actually greeted by somebody from this company. We showed our card and they said, hey, you're with us. And they took us back to where we were having the presentation, kind of in a back room at this restaurant. So they said that they would have a 35 to 40-minute presentation. He actually set an alarm clock on his phone. When we did walk in, we also noticed that there was some kind of loud music playing. He did turn that off for the presentation. But they did state that they were with Legal Consulting, Inc. And I have a link to their website here. Where is it here? Well, here's their website. Legal Consulting Inc. It's not actually a link, it's just a screenshot I grabbed of their website. So they claim to have been in business for 8 years and successfully got 60,000 people out of their timeshares. So definitely a company. They actually do business in a number of states. They said Cincinnati, Kentucky, and in Florida as well. So do business, and they have a 100% written money back guarantee. The basis of the presentation is essentially kind of two bills. They really talked about these two bills in Florida. One was HB 7025, 2013 law that essentially kind of outlawed, provision in there outlawed Viking ship companies. If you don't know what a Viking ship company is, essentially what people were doing were transferring timeshares to LLCs, and then those LLCs would, after they get loaded up with a whole bunch of timeshares, they could no longer pay the fees. They would essentially just kind of fold, and obviously all of the timeshare HOAs, homeowner associations, developers, they were kind of left holding the bag, trying to clean things up, all kinds of delinquent maintenance fees and whatnot. So they said we could no longer use a timeshare Viking ship company to get rid of our timeshare. Not that we would try and do that, but it basically, that law does make illegal to willingly transfer to an entity that you know has no intention of essentially buying and paying for that timeshare. Then there was Florida House Bill 435, became law in 2015. I don't really know all of the details of this law. I tried to read through it, skim through it. Really not a whole lot of information that I could get out of it. But they said this law, passed in 2015, gave you a 30-month window to where you could renegotiate or get out of your timeshare. We should have been called by either our timeshare company or this company or other companies similar to it to say, hey, we want to renegotiate with you and get you out. Of course, we never got a call. Nobody else in the room got a call either. And essentially, that call wasn't legit, wasn't real. But guess what? Just because, even though we're outside of the 30 days, there's probably a chance that they can still work with us and get us a one-time deal, one-time shot to still get out of our timeshare using these provisions in this law, which I couldn't find with my quick skimming through of the law. So some kind of concerns there. But those were the two laws that they kind of alluded to that would help us to potentially get out of our timeshare. So kind of just going through what they kind of said during this presentation that I, best to my knowledge, could determine was true. They mentioned during the presentation that the timeshare developers will show you a big, thick catalog, and they actually had one of the catalogs there, of RCI, of International. Maybe it's the timeshare companies, whether it's Hilton, Marriott, Vistana, Diamond. They'll show you their catalog, and they'll say, hey, pick a place in here, decide when you want to go, and you can go. That's what the timeshare developers say. And obviously, in a lot of cases, that isn't true. So they did actually kind of touch on that. There are some issues with availability. Nothing is guaranteed. And yeah, nothing is guaranteed with availability. They make it seem so easy and nice when you buy. The timeshare developers obviously make everything sound so great. When you buy, they pop the champagne, confetti, pictures, all kinds of stuff, make you feel like you're king of the world because you've bought a timeshare. And they even quoted Dave Ramsey. We have some concerns about Dave Ramsey and timeshare and suggestions, specifically with timeshare exit team, which doesn't seem any longer in business. But Dave Ramsey, they had a quote of him, a picture of him that said how bad timeshares were, how they are the worst investment ever. Timeshare developers obviously also say, sometimes, we hear this quite often early on, that the fees won't go up. We haven't really been told this too much lately, but fees never go up, or they just go up just a little bit. And they kind of gave a kind of spreadsheet that showed fees going up 7.5% every year, and how much it would cost us 10 years, 20 years down the road, and total of how much we would have ended up paying after 20 years, something like $70,000. So one other thing that they mentioned in this is that timeshare developers will always say that every answer to every problem you have with your timeshare. So if you go to a presentation, say, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't go here, I can't go there when I wanted to go, or I can't use my timeshare, the answer is always to buy more timeshare. That is very true. Timeshare developer is never going to try and help you get out of your timeshare. So let's jump back over here to the chat. I do want to say here, looks like we have 18 people watching. If you would do so, really be appreciated. Hit that like button down below. Might be hidden by the chat, depending on the device you're using. So if you could, be really appreciated if you would hit that like button. Really does help out the channel. Helps to push this out to more people who are on YouTube right now, interested in timeshare, maybe watched this channel before, watched some of my videos. Get that out in front of them. So let's take a look here. What else we have in the chat? My chat has kind of scrolled down quite a ways. We have Martin Scott saying hello from Long Beach, California. Hello, Martin Scott. Chad Stumpf, howdy, howdy, howdy. We have, hi, Jeremy, Barry Parsons. Hello, Barry. Great to see you here in the chat. Linking in from our latest trip to Spain. Sounds fantastic. Love to get to Spain sometime. Hear that there's a lot of great Marriott resorts there that we would love to visit. Who else we have here? Joan Morris. Hello, Joan. Mom, mother-in-law. Hello, how are you today? Great to see you here in the chat. And yeah, Joan is Missy's mom. We don't buy, Chad says we don't buy our timeshares as financial investment. That's very true. Timeshares are certainly not a financial investment, and John Lanier agrees. Definitely something you should not be buying for financial purposes is timeshare. Definitely a financial purpose if you're considering saving money over the long term. Timeshares can be a great investment for saving money, great investment in vacation lifestyle, fantastic resorts, fantastic destinations. You can actually save quite a bit of money doing that, and we've done that. Traveled all over the world, traveled all over the United States in timeshare. So that's one of the great things about timeshare. Just fantastic lifestyle of vacation. So not a financial investment, but an investment in lifestyle. Chad says, watching your Sable Palms, I guess Sable Palms video right now. Thanks. Definitely helps out to watch all the videos. Frederick says he loves his timeshare. We do too. So let's jump back over here to a little bit more from this presentation, presentation that they were giving us, and what they kind of said that was false or I deem questionable, because obviously I can't outright dispute any of this necessarily given all of my knowledge of timeshare. But they say here, timeshare companies make most of their money from maintenance fees. Truth be told is they really don't. Maintenance fees isn't income to a timeshare company. Some timeshare companies consider it revenue, but then they immediately pass it through as an expense and then revenue to the homeowners association. But it isn't income for a timeshare company. Maintenance fees go to pay for resort expenses. Now, maintenance fees also include a management fee. So if you're with Marriott, a lot of times that's 10%. Some other resorts charge 15%, some other timeshare developers anyway, and some of them just have flat fees. But ultimately, the revenue is mostly driven by sales and sometimes even rental of unsold weeks. Now, they did say that you can find your timeshare on Expedia, on Booking.com, on whatever, maybe it's the developer's website, Marriott.com, Hilton.com. That is true. Actually, I kind of missed that when I mentioned the items that were true. But depending on the company, it might be quite a bit more expensive than your annual maintenance fee. Depending on where you're going, it might also be somewhat cheaper depending on time of year. So that is definitely something that is kind of true, kind of not true. They did talk about somebody who had a COVID special assessment. One of their owners got a $2,200 special assessment because of COVID, because the property was closed. We own with Marriott, and we didn't see any special assessment. They said that the timeshare companies had to make money because they lost so much money during the shutdowns. We actually had maintenance fees that were mostly flat. They didn't go up all that much, maybe just a few dollars. Some of them actually went down a couple dollars. So we did not experience this. I'm guessing there's probably a $2,200 maintenance fee because there's something wrong with the resort. Maybe a roof needs repaired, and the homeowner association has done a very bad job of managing fees. They did talk about perpetual ownership, rider survivorship, and no matter what, because we own timeshare, it's perpetual. There's things written into the contracts that we have to pass these on. If we pass these on to our heirs, that the heirs have to take over the timeshare. That's simply not true, at least in the United States. You don't have to take on something you're inheriting if you don't want to. It is ultimately up to the estate, though, to divest that timeshare in some way. They said, 86% of the owners made a decision to make modifications to their agreement to avoid being subject to these changes in legislation, specifically that 2015 legislation. That seems a little bit suspect. Don't really know what they meant there. They said there's absolutely no equity in timeshare. eBay has them for as low as $1. And I didn't mention this in the presentation, but ultimately, if eBay has them for $1, and maybe they're even selling for $1, why don't I sell it for $1, give it away for $1, instead of paying this company what we really don't know how much yet, but could be thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to get rid of it. And they also said RCI will allow you to be a member and not own a timeshare. I'm not aware of any such type of membership with RCI. There are some things where people have owned timeshare and then they sell it, but RCI or Interval International never finds out, and they maintain their membership with those exchange companies, and they can at least continue to book getaways and whatnot, which is usually kind of limited inventory. So now that we've kind of looked at this, we had ordered our food up front. We had said what we wanted. I want to kind of show you here the postcard that came in the mail. Take a look at this postcard. Red Lobster, exclusive dinner event. You have steak and lobster on there. And it looked really good. Lobster looks like maybe a filet mignon on there. And that obviously weren't any of the options on the limited menu. But I do have a picture of the food that they did bring us. Here is a picture of Missy's steak and salad with mashed potatoes. Not sure what's happened to presentation when it comes to food at restaurants. It seems to have kind of gone out the window, because here's my Walt's favorite shrimp. Shrimp's kind of just thrown on there, stuck to the mashed potatoes, got some broccoli, have the cocktail sauce. So it was definitely kind of interesting. Obviously, nothing really out of the ordinary for, we've been to Red Lobster before. Doesn't seem really anything out of the ordinary, but I just wanted to kind of show you the food that they gave us. I do have a picture here of what the presentation, we were able to sneak kind of just a quick picture of the presentation. You see, notice here, 5 other couples in front of us, and we're just sitting at our table. The presenter is up there at the front, and yeah, so kind of just a interesting experience. They kind of had a presentation, went on for about 35 minutes. He said he would kind of keep it to that. He even set an alarm. So let's jump back over here to the live. So I'm back on the screen. Go back over to my notes here. We'll take a quick look through the chat here before we continue on. And I would like to say, hey, if you haven't already, give this a thumbs up. Definitely helps out. And if you're not subscribed, maybe you're finding us for the very first time, also hit that subscribe button down below. Really helps out. And hit that notification bell as well and select all. You'll be notified whenever I post new videos on the channel. I do timeshare news, industry news. I do resort reviews, timeshare commentary, villa tours, resort tours, all kinds of stuff. And even today, I published a huge video, pretty lengthy video, but a very in-depth video, an ultimate guide to all of the Marriott Vacation Club timeshare resorts in Orlando. So be sure to subscribe if that's the kind of content you like to see. We have here, I want to make sure I didn't jump over anybody. We have Deborah. Hello, Jeremy from Southwest Florida. Hello from Northeast Florida. Lives in And John, he's saying he lives in Fort Myers. Deborah's in Cape Coral. Hello, neighbor. And then, John says he lives by the Sanibel outlets. Seems like most everybody, Missy's saying that, seems like most everybody here is in warm Florida. It was actually 80 degrees when I went outside earlier. Barry says the Marriott European and Asian management fee is 15%. So got a little tear there, crying face. Kind of feel for you. It's essentially a 50% more higher fee for management than we are paying in many of the properties in the United States. Bill from New Jersey just joined. Sorry, I've already discussed, but if I had to sell my timeshare, what are the best options? So I'll kind of mention that. I'll get to that here in just a minute. I'll come back and talk about that. So make sure, don't let me forget. But I do want to talk about some of the similarities with this presentation to timeshare presentations. And that is, they kind of have you, we got there, we filled out a form. They had us give all of our information, just basic information, to kind of get to know us a bit better, I guess. They had loud music playing. It was another thing. You ever notice when you go to a timeshare sales floor or even to a car dealership, there's always loud music playing. It's a common sales technique. It seems to work. It seems to work pretty well, apparently. They tell you everything bad about a timeshare. Of course, this isn't just like a timeshare presentation, but it's kind of just everything opposite of what a timeshare presentation is there, with how timeshare sales presentations tell you how everything is so great about timeshares. They tell you, you can't get a price up front. This is just like timeshares. You can't go in and say, how much is it? You have to go through this big, long spiel. You have to get all your information. You have to do this, do that, qualify you, do this. You cannot get a price unless you're literally willing to sign on the dotted line. Even knowing we had paid in full deeds in Florida, they could not give us a price. They said it depended on things like how much maintenance fees we paid in the past, if we had any unused weeks, any unused points. It all they would give you a credit based on fees that you had already paid. So my guess is the price is something like, because I noticed on BBB, some people have mentioned they were wanting to charge them like $10,000. My guess is the price is something like $25,000 or $30,000, and then they say, well, hey, here's the maintenance fees you paid. Here's the maintenance fees you're going to pay in the future. We're going to give you that as a credit, and it will bring it down to $10,000, $5,000, $7,000. You think you're getting a great deal, when in reality, the price was always going to be $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, whatever it is. Also depending on how many deeds you had. So you can't get a price up front. The other common tactic here is timeshares do this all the time. This is a one-time deal. We're giving you this one-time opportunity under this 2015 law, this provision that will help us to help you get out of your timeshare. And if you don't accept it today, you won't have this opportunity again in the future. Timeshare companies do this a lot. They tell you, hey, this is a one-time deal. Almost all sales are done on day one when it comes to timeshares. And truth be told, if you don't buy then, if you were to call them back 2, 3, 4 days later, the same deal would still be there. So definitely some concerns there with how very similar this is to timeshare. And one other similar thing, obviously, is giving you a free dinner, a free gift, just to get you in the door. That's essentially how the entire industry works. Now, just kind of talking about this presentation, like I mentioned, we had 6 other couples in the room with us, and you could kind of tell, it seemed like one couple might have been a plant by the company. Kind of loud, a little obnoxious, very negative about timeshares, all in general, and they just kind of seemed like they might have been there as a plant. They even kind of came over at one point and interrupted our conversation with the representative of us. Was like, it seemed like they were in a hurry. Her husband got a phone call or a text message from work and she had to leave. If they weren't a plant, that was probably a ploy to get out of the presentation and get out of there. But it seemed like maybe one couple was kind of planted there. The other couples, you could tell after the presentation, these people are probably really watching the room. seeing people's reactions, knowing which people who are maybe are easier marks. They kind of see this couple maybe asking more questions, a little bit more involved based on mannerisms, body language, comments that they say. And yeah, you could tell they had some easy marks, and they went straight to those people first. They didn't come to us first. They kind of come over and they saw we actually got our food before everybody else. We started eating. The guy came and said, "Hey, I'll come back to you. I don't like people talking to me while I'm eating either." So it was actually pretty good that way. They really weren't going to. I was worried that they would want to sit down and talk to us while we were eating dinner, which is very awkward. They didn't do that. So they're actually kind of polite that way. It seemed not too bad, but of course they did finally make their way to us. Now I do want to mention the other people in this timeshare presentation. You can kind of see why they might be easier marks for this type of presentation. None of them really knew what they owned. One person, during the presentation, he asked, "What does everybody own in here?" And he went around the room. This person says, "I own Interval International," or timeshare with Interval International, which simply isn't the case. They don't own timeshares. They essentially are just an exchange company. But I guess it kind of determined that maybe they owned in Williamsburg, at maybe the Colonies or something like that. But other people said they owned Blue Green, Diamond. But when asked, like, what kind of, how many points do you own? They had no clue. These people didn't have any idea what they owned, probably because either they haven't used it, but they've been paying maintenance fees on it. They're obviously not like me, and not like many of the people here in the chat. They're just, they're not really involved in their timeshare. They just pay the fee every year, and they probably never use it. So I can understand why they're wanting to get out. I can also understand why the companies are targeting these people mainly. But yeah, so that is what that was. Finally, they did kind of get around to us, and they had us fill out this form. It's supposed to be a qualifying form of what we, whole bunch of yes and no questions, probably about 12, 15 questions. I couldn't get a picture of that. It would have been great if I could. But a lot of yes, no questions. Things like, were you lied to during your timeshare presentation? Were you told you could book anywhere, anytime? Were you told maintenance fees wouldn't increase, but they still did? Those kinds of questions, right? So basically all these things he went through in the presentation that were bad about timeshare. And truth be told, we didn't answer yes to a lot of these because we bought our week's resale, but we have been to a number of presentations, and some of the things on there were things that had been told to us. So we did answer yes to a few of these. And they basically said, he's going through the list, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of no's on there. He says, "Oh, don't worry, it only takes 3 yeses to qualify." And they wanted us to sign this form. We essentially refused to sign this form. There wasn't any kind of agreement on this form. You weren't stating what you were signing. It was essentially just a signature line. I guess just affirming what those that your answers were correct. So let's jump back in here into the chat. Want to jump back up here to Bill from New Jersey. Sorry if I already discussed this, but if I had to sell my timeshare, what are the best options? So a lot of it comes down to, Bill here, what do you own? Where do you own? Essentially, what you own might have no value. If it has no value, you essentially need to try and give it away. Places like Timeshare Users Group, the Timeshare Forum. I have a number of videos on how to sell your timeshare. So check out the channel. And after the live stream, I'll also put a link to one up here. So check out those videos. If your timeshare does have some value, if it's a major name brand timeshare in a great location, it might have some value. So check out places like Red Week. Again, Timeshare Users Group, tug2.net, and check out places like that. Go on eBay and just do a search for your timeshare company, your timeshare resort. See what comes up. That'll give you a good idea of, is it essentially a no value, $1, $0 timeshare, or is it getting some type of traction? Maybe there's some bids. Even check out completed listings. So I hope that helps. If it doesn't, check out those other videos or drop another comment in here. Frederick says, I have ownership with Wyndham and Vistana, and I'm constantly bombarded with timeshare exit programs calling me. I also telling them I am happy, but that doesn't stop them from calling back. So essentially, Frederick, probably getting things like this. We actually haven't gotten calls, but we have a thing with our telephone where we can block basically everybody who's not in our contact list, and it goes to voicemail. So if they're trying to call us, they're not leaving voicemails, but like I said in my other video, this is the first time we've ever received one of these postcards in the mail to try and help us to get out of our timeshare. So yeah, we haven't been bombarded yet, but I fear now we had to give up an email address, we had to give up a phone number, we had to give up our mailing address, and got one of these. We're now probably considered easy marks. Now our name's going to make the rounds all over the place. Common thing here, these companies sell your contact information to all these other companies, try and make more money, and we're probably going to be bombarded with postcards in the mail to get out of our timeshare. So here, Doug's Timeshare Travels. Hello, Doug. He says, I'm enjoying 37 degrees and rain in Kansas. Sorry, Doug. I wish it was warmer where you were. It was great meeting you at Marriott's Ocean Point in, Florida, what am I saying? Marriott's Ocean Point in Palm Beach Shores, Florida. It was great meeting you. Had enough sitting at the pool talking forever with Doug. No left turns. Marriott owner in Maui. Great to hear. Marriott owner in Maui. We love Maui. Been there a few times. We stayed at the Maui Ocean Club, the old section, once, just for one night, but beautiful resort there in Maui. Missy Timeshare or Taste Your Travel says, we don't miss the 30-degree temperatures, Doug. Yeah, we don't miss those either. We came from Ohio. I'm originally from Canada. Yeah, we don't miss those temperatures at all. Frederick says, enjoy, Doug. Not my kind of weather. Yeah, I agree. Not my kind of weather anymore. We have Chad. A few years ago, I quoted a price of $2,300 by Wesley Financial Group in a cold call. $23,000, not $2,300, $23,000. So if you don't know who Wesley Financial Group is, there's Wesley Financial Group. There's all kinds of companies out here, just like this Legal Consulting Inc. that we met with. There's all kinds of these guys out there trying to take advantage of desperate timeshare owners trying to get out of their timeshare. And $23,000, that is just ridiculous. Just there's so much of what they're going to do, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. There's so much that they're going to do that you can do yourself. Misty says that's a lot of money from a cold call. I mean, they're calling you up and then saying, "Hey, it's only $23,000. Sign up today." Frederick, are you serious? Yeah, that is sad. That is very sad. I can't believe they charge that much. I mean, really, what is the cost involved here in these types of things? They charge thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. They obviously have the cost of this meal, this presentation. They're paying a lot of employees. Seemed like if I count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 employees at this presentation. They probably, and maybe they were paying for hotel rooms. They were here over a 2-day period. None of them seemed like they were local. One guy said he was from San Antonio, Texas. I don't know where everybody else was from, but none of them seemed like they were local. And yeah, so they're paying for their food, for their hotel. Hopefully they're paying for their food in their hotel. These people might be commissioned. I'm not too sure when they sell something. So they probably at least need to sell at least 1 or 2 people over this 2-day, 6 session situation here to at least break even. But something tells me if they say they got 60,000 people out of their timeshares, whether that's true or not, they're still making a lot of money. I mean, most of these situations, we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars over the course of the lifetime of these things that they're essentially extracting from people who are desperate to get out of their timeshare, when in most cases, the people can do the same thing on their own. It really was sad, Frederick. The biggest takeaway from the experience to me was that we were the only people there who knew how timeshares worked and what we own. Absolutely. That's really the sad part is people, I get some people buy something and they probably shouldn't have bought it. They didn't understand what they were buying. The best way to get the most use from your value from your timeshare is just to simply use it. If you're paying $600, these people are in Florida and maybe they bought in Orlando. There's a lot of blue-green resorts all over Florida, and they're living in Florida. They're paying, say, $1,000 a year. They have some points. They're saying they can't get when they want to go. Well, maybe some of these people were older. They seemed like they were retired. Don't go when kids are in school. Go when October, go in May, go in September. Go sometime of the year when you can get the reservation. Plan early, and chances are where you want to go is going to be available at some point, sometime. At least use it, even if you're not using it for your ideal vacation. Let's see here. Frederick says, "I'd love to have been at that presentation with you and your husband." Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Bill, thanks for thanks for the information on how to sell if you're trying to get out. I've been very happy. So did Chad. I've been happy to increase ownership almost every year for the last 6 years. It all depends on what you use it for and what your goals are. Absolutely. John, that's crazy, but I'm not surprised. Absolutely. Always assume that timeshare exit companies are worse than timeshare companies. Very true. I mean, obviously, kind of the whole problem kind of does stem back to timeshare companies and the customers that they're selling to and the customers that are buying from them. These customers probably had no business buying a timeshare in the first place, and the timeshare companies really don't give any method to help them get out of their timeshare. At least some of them don't. And I do talk about that in some of my other videos. But yeah, it is kind of a sad situation. They're kind of getting taken advantage of twice. So let's see here. Doug's Timeshare Travels, San Francisco, the end of this week for 6 nights at the Ritz. Hopefully it's a little nicer. Yeah, I hope it's a little nicer than your 30-degree temperatures. Right now they're in the 30s. Yeah, hopefully it is. I don't know what San Francisco weather's like this time of year. Never been to San Francisco. Be careful of putting timeshares in a family trust. This is from No Left Turns. The folks in the trust are liable for maintenance fees if you pass away. So yeah, trusts are a completely different type of situation. Obviously that trust then, when you pass away, that trust has to try and divest the timeshare. I'm obviously not a trust attorney or any type of financial advisor, anything like that. So definitely talk to your attorney when you're setting up a trust if you should move your timeshare into the trust. Looks like we're at the end of the chat here, so I'm going to jump back over to my notes, and we are going to, where are we here? Am I in the right place? Jump back over to my notes here. Let's see here. So we kind of had just a few questions for the timeshare people. As they said, if you have any questions, write them down. So we made some notes on some questions. Other people just stuck their hand up and said, hey, I have a question, especially that loud person we thought was kind of a plant. We said, what do you actually do with the timeshare? What is the process? They essentially said that they're customer advocates with assisting in making the timeshare company take the timeshare back. So I don't know what they do about some independent homeowner association somewhere. Maybe they don't take those people on. But my guess is everybody here qualifies. Nobody is disqualified. So that's what they say they do. They say they do not buy and resell timeshares. They do not sell timeshares, probably because they don't have because they don't have realtor licenses. They're not realtors. They don't have real estate licenses. Most likely reason why they don't buy and sell timeshares. A lot of companies like this take timeshares back, or they list them on eBay, so they take the timeshare in, and they might still very well do this. Take the timeshare in and put it on eBay, and that eBay one for $1 might just have been theirs. But yeah, so they put it on eBay, and then when it sells, they tell the owner, hey, we got you out of your timeshare. Guess what, owner? Did you know that they listed it on eBay to get rid of it? You could have done it yourself and saved yourself $5, $7, $10, or $23,000, like Wesley Financial quoted. So what's the cost of the service? We kind of got into this. We couldn't get an answer on the cost of the service, but my guess is it would have been in the tens of thousands of dollars for 2 deeds. That we actually own more than that. We disclosed we had 2 deeds. They could have done some research, even just typing her name into a search engine. But yeah, so yeah, it just took. Anyway, how long does it take? That was the other question we had. They said they give a 12-month guarantee. If they don't get you out in 12 months, then they're going to give you a 100% money back guarantee. We know how that 100% money back guarantee worked out for people who signed up with Timeshare Exit Team. I don't know. Apparently, not many people got the guarantee and the refund, according to the state attorney general in Washington. And they got fined millions of dollars and told they had to, if they're going to offer a money back guarantee, they had to hold that money in escrow. And apparently it did them in. They're no longer around. The website no longer works. So, but they did say, hey, we'll give you a 12-month guarantee. USA timeshares usually about 4 to 6 months. Mexico timeshares 6 to 8. My guess is, well, probably 6 to 8. What do you actually do? I mentioned this already, actually, so I had this in my notes twice. So what they essentially say they're a timeshare advocate. So they sat down with us. They were talking about, hey, your fees are $3,000 for these 2 timeshares, and we can help you get out if we sign that form. And and they qualified us. They actually, the first guy we talked to, he kind of determined probably maybe we weren't worth his effort. He went to talk to somebody else he was talking to before and talking to up front. I guess they were probably one of the easier marks. They sent a second person in to kind of chip away at us a little bit. She was looking at it and saying, I can't believe you're paying $3,000 for two timeshare weeks. That's a lot of money that you could be doing other things with. And actually, of those 2 timeshare weeks, we get 4 weeks of timeshare out of it because we own lockoffs. So they just kind of chipped away at that, hey, we can help you get out of this. And essentially, they work with the timeshare companies. This is the story that the lady at the end actually told us, because I also asked, are you going to do something that I could also do myself? And she said, these companies, Marriott, Diamond, Hilton, all these companies, why are they going to work with you to take back your timeshare? We have agreements with them. We give them all kinds of weeks. We have agreements with them to send these timeshares back to them so they can turn around and resell them for tens of thousands of dollars. And I kind of asked, well, why couldn't I do that myself? And she says, why are they going to work with you for your 1 week when we're giving them all kinds of timeshare weeks or points back? That was essentially the story that they had for us, that we can do this ourselves because it's just us. They don't care. They didn't mention, of course, Responsible Exit, which is kind of Arda's program with a number of different timeshare developers, quite a few of them actually, where you can, in fact, deed back your timeshare. So, Bill, that's another answer for you. Contact your resort. Obviously, first thing, I should have mentioned this. Contact your resort and see if they will take the timeshare back. That's essentially what this company's going to do. My guess is, first thing they do, they get your kind of name or signature on the line. They get your money. First thing is, they type up a form letter. Well, don't type up a form letter. They have a form letter. Insert your name information into this form letter. Send it off to Marriott. Probably even says it's coming from you. And then and then send it to the developer, the management company, whoever it might be, Marriott, Diamond, Hilton, Blue Green, Orange Lake Country Club, Holiday Inn Club Vacations, whoever it might be. Say, hey, we know you have a deed back program. Will you take back this client's timeshare? And then boom, you're out. You could have done it yourself. So this is kind of the thing. They said that we wouldn't be able to do this ourselves, but clearly the educated timeshare consumer here knew that we would. Definitely kind of some things there that they don't share with you for obvious reasons. Their goal there is to sign you up $10, $15, $7, some cases $23,000 to get you out of your timeshare and do something, in most cases, that you can't do yourself. Now, they did say if they can't get us out, they just give you your money back, of course. And then they say, well, they'll still get you out for free, which if they couldn't get you out in 12 months and they give you your money back, how are they going to get you out for free? It's essentially what happens is, if they can't get you out easily, the most likely situation then is they tell you, make sure you're not paying your fees anymore. So as soon as you stop, and then they kind of convince you, hey, stop paying your fees. We just need a little bit more time. It goes beyond this 12 months. And then they essentially let the timeshare resort or the homeowners association foreclose. And guess what? You're out of your timeshare because you were foreclosed on. Maybe a credit hit hurts your credit in some way. But yeah, that is definitely something to watch out for. A common technique. If they can't get the timeshare developer to take it back, they will contact, or they will just tell you to stop paying and then foreclose. So let's jump back into the chat here. We're getting here close to, we're actually 45 minutes, 47 minutes in. Want to ask again, if you're liking the video, give it a thumbs up. Really helps out with these videos. And let's just finish up the chat here, and then we'll probably sign off. But can't we put in our will to bequeath the timeshare back to the developer on our death? Has anyone ever done that? Don't think that actually works, Deborah, because essentially you have to have somebody willing to also accept it. So just like you leave it to your kids can say, hey, I don't want it. Well, the timeshare can say, hey, I don't want it either. John's going to May 13th, Sheraton, Vistana Villages. Super excited. One of our favorite resorts. Have a great time while you're there, John. And let me know what you think about it. Missy's saying, yeah, we love it. It's a great property. John's saying we have to meet up. Hey, yeah, maybe we will. Pretty sure Chad, pretty sure their price goes up the more you own. Absolutely. Probably the price is based on per deed. So if you have, it's like $7,500 a deed or $10,000 a deed. If you own 2 deeds, guess what? Twice as much. But we'll give you a discount on the second one. Always got to make you think you're getting a deal. Timeshare developers do that also in timeshare presentations. Missy saying, hey, Taste Your Travel, we took advantage of a few platinum escapes for Vistana Resort, $207 a week. Couldn't pass it up through Interval International. That's a great thing about platinum ownership with Interval International. You can't, they every once in a while they have some good deals, and $207 a week at Sheraton Vistana Resort in Orlando, pretty good. Frederick says, look forward to meeting with you and your wife very soon. Hey, anytime you're going to be down here towards Florida, if you're going to be in Orlando, hey, we can see if we're going to be there around the same time. Love to meet anybody who is a viewer of the channel. We have here no left turns. Contact HOA of Timeshare Resort and see if they have a buyback program. Absolutely, even if it's just a deed back program. Because in a lot of cases, Marriott has deed back programs. Your timeshare may be worth money. They'll take it from you for free. But so if you can sell it, if it has value. But if it has no value, contact the HOA, contact the management company and say, hey, do you have a deed back program? Sorry, got to go to the beach. No left turns, going to the beach. Bye. Have a great time at the beach. Beaches are beautiful. Where are we at here? We gave 2 weeks back to Diamond several years ago. There was a charge, but it was less than $23,000. Yeah, Diamond has a program, I believe. Their deed back program. I think they charge $1,000 per deed. Unless you're in Arizona or the resort is in Arizona, there's a $250 deed back fee. And that fee is lower in Arizona because an agreement, a settlement that Diamond made with the Arizona State Attorney General. So it's not just timeshare exit companies like Timeshare Exit Team that are getting in trouble with state attorney generals for misleading practices. Timeshare developers are too. Bill, have an amazing time. We love Lakeshore Reserve. So Bill must be going to Lakeshore Reserve. Oh, Bill is at Lakeshore Reserve next week. We love it, Lakeshore Reserve. I have several videos on Lakeshore Reserve on the channel. So check those out if you get a chance. Okay, so it looks like we've come to 51 minutes in. I'm going to use this to kind of wrap this up. If anybody has any questions that I didn't get to answer here in the live chat, or maybe if you're watching on the replay, put those comments down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. But definitely appreciate everybody who joined here, participated in the live chat, had a great conversation with everybody here today. And yeah, great time. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you for joining today. So as I kind of usually sign off, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos about timeshare, I'm going to put a link in the description box below, several links to some other videos about timeshare. And as always, until next time, the best destination is always a timeshare.